If you saw a 1962 Ford Cortina rolling down the street, chances are you'd walk right past it without a second glance. Boxy, simple, unassuming. But don't be fooled by the looks, because this humble little sedan is one of the most important cars Ford ever built. Not because it was powerful or luxurious, but because it was designed so cleverly that it changed the way Ford built and developed cars for decades to come. The Cortina embodied a less is more design philosophy. Light, simple, easy to repair, and adaptable across many global markets. And that's what made it more than just a budget car. It became a cultural icon. In today's video, let's dive into 10 fascinating facts about the engineering and design of the 1962 Ford Cortina, the little car that made a global impact. Number 1. The name Cortina was inspired by the Italian Alps. While most British Fords at the time had rather dry names like Anglia, Consul, or Zephyr, the name Cortina had a distinctly different flavor. Elegant, European, even a bit exotic. But few people know that it was actually inspired by a famous Italian resort town, Cortina d'Ampezzo. Nestled in the majestic Alps, Cortina d'Ampezzo wasn't just Europe's premier winter destination. It also hosted the 1956 Winter Olympics. When Ford UK's marketing team searched for a fresh name for their upcoming compact car in the early 1960s, they wanted something that sounded upscale, international, and easy to remember. Cortina, with its connotations of snow, mountains, skiing, and continental style, was the perfect fit. The name worked wonders. Buyers felt they were getting something a little more special than the price suggested. And just like that, Ford turned a humble budget car into a market icon, simply by choosing a name that evoked an entirely different world. Number 2. Developed in just 20 months. One of the most astonishing things about the Ford Cortina is how quickly it was developed. In less than 20 months, from first sketch to production-ready vehicle. In the automotive world, where new models typically take 3 to 5 years to develop, this was nearly unheard of. Internally named Project Archbishop, the Cortina was Ford UK's answer to growing pressure from rivals like the Morris Minor, Vauxhall Victor, and Hillman Minx, all dominating the family car market. Ford needed something new, fast, affordable, reliable, and appealing to everyday buyers. They pulled out all the stops, compressing the design, testing, and manufacturing timeline. They reused as many existing components as possible and embraced a design for the masses philosophy, simple, practical, and cost-effective. The result, the Cortina launched on time, on budget, and quickly became the best-selling car in Britain within just a few years. Number 3. Ultra lightweight. In the early 1960s, while many European economy cars were growing heavier and bulkier, the Ford Cortina took the opposite route. Keep it as light as possible. With a dry weight of just around 1,710 lbs, the Cortina became one of the lightest sedans in its class. To achieve this, Ford engineers embraced a minimum metal for maximum space philosophy, using the least amount of material to create the largest usable space. They employed thinner gauge steel, simplified the chassis, and trimmed away unnecessary elements. Every component was optimized to maintain structural integrity while shedding excess weight. This lightweight design gave the Cortina several key advantages: better fuel economy, quicker acceleration, and less brake wear, all critical for customers who wanted a car that was affordable to run and easy to maintain. And on the production side, less weight also meant lower shipping and manufacturing costs, a huge plus in emerging markets. Number 4. Surprisingly spacious for its size. At first glance, the Ford Cortina appears smaller than many sedans of its era, but step inside and you'll be surprised at just how spacious the interior feels. especially for a car under 4 Ebertserts in length. With a wheelbase of 98 in, the Cortina was engineered to maximize cabin space along its length. The front seats were slim yet supportive, and the rear bench could comfortably accommodate 2 to 3 adults. A rare feat among early 60s European compacts. Legroom and headroom were cleverly managed, giving the cabin an airy feel more typical of larger sedans. The trunk was another highlight. Generously sized, easily accessible, and with a flat floor. Some versions even allowed the rear seats to fold down, a feature considered quite premium at the time. Number 5. Kent 12L Engine 1. 2L engine. At the heart of the Ford Cortina was the Kent 1. 2L engine, one of the most successful and reliable power plants Ford ever made. With a 4-cylinder inline layout, overhead valve setup, and a 3-bearing crankshaft, the Kent 2L produced around 48 horsepower. Modest, but perfectly adequate for a lightweight car like the Cortina. What made it special wasn't performance, it was simplicity and serviceability. Everything was easy to reach. Spark plugs, carburetor, belts, all could be replaced quickly, even by amateur mechanics. Low repair costs, widely available parts, and an open layout made it ideal for both city and rural use. Moreover, the Kent 2L served as the foundation for more powerful variants, including the 3L, 6L, and the legendary Lotus Twin Cam. 6L. Over the decades, the Kent engine lived on not just in Cortinas, but in Escorts, Fiestas, Capri, and even race cars. Chassis design number 6. Unique chassis design. One of the most distinctive and well-executed features of the 1962 Ford Cortina was its hybrid suspension setup. Independent McPherson strut suspension up front and a solid rear axle with semi-elliptical leaf springs in the back. At the time, McPherson struts were still relatively new in budget cars. This setup improved handling through corners, reduced road vibrations, and provided a more planted feel compared to the traditional double wishbone systems. Ford cleverly integrated it into the Cortina to keep costs down while delivering solid driving dynamics. The rear suspension, however, took a more rugged approach. With leaf springs and a solid axle, it offered simplicity, durability, and load-carrying strength. Perfect for rougher roads or developing markets, including many rural areas in the United States. This blend of modern front suspension with a tried-and-true rear layout gave the Cortina a chassis that was cheap to build, tough to break, and easy to repair without sacrificing much in ride comfort. It's one of the reasons why the Cortina found success as both a family car and a fleet workhorse across the globe. Number 7. Hybrid braking system, front discs, and rear drums. In the early 1960s, most budget cars in both the UK and the US still relied on drum brakes at all 4 corners, a dated setup with limited stopping power, especially under load or at high speed. But the Ford Cortina, starting from the deluxe trim, introduced a meaningful upgrade. Front disc brakes paired with rear drums, a highly effective hybrid system. The 9 in front discs gave the Cortina stronger, more stable braking performance, especially during emergency stops or in wet conditions. This was crucial for lightweight cars like the Cortina, which could otherwise lose traction easily with weaker brakes. Meanwhile, drum brakes remained at the rear, a cost-saving choice that made sense as the rear axle doesn't require as much stopping force. This setup was not only economical, but also far safer than most rival cars of the time. This hybrid braking system would later become standard in many compact cars of the 1970s, proving that Ford was ahead of its time, making a quiet revolution with a seemingly small but very smart design choice. Number 4-speed manual compact smooth shifting 8. 4-speed manual. Compact, smooth shifting. The Ford Cortina came equipped with a 4-speed manual transmission with the shifter mounted on the floor rather than the steering column, a sporty departure for an economy sedan. This setup delivered a more direct and engaging driving experience, especially appreciated by American drivers used to automatics. The gear lever had a short throw, well-matched gear ratios, and a light, precise feel. It made shifting smooth and easy whether you were crawling through city traffic or cruising on the interstate. The fourth gear was geared tall enough to keep RPMs low at cruising speeds around 55 to 60 mph, helping save fuel. While it didn't offer full synchro mesh on all gears like more expensive models, the Cortina's gearbox was still praised for being easy to learn and pleasant to use. Its lightweight design also helped keep the overall curb weight down and freed up space in the cabin. Number 9. Minimalist dashboard. Minimalist dashboard. At a time when many automakers were cramming as many gauges and warning lights as possible into dashboards, the Ford Cortina took a completely different approach. Minimalist, but effective. The Cortina's instrument panel showed only the most essential information and nothing more. The cluster featured a large central speedometer, a fuel gauge to the right, and basic warning lights for oil pressure, charging system, and engine temperature. There was no tachometer, no clock, and no clutter. This helped reduce driver distraction, manufacturing costs, and long-term maintenance issues. The dash layout itself was clean and simple. A 2-spoke American-style steering wheel, mechanical switches for lights and wipers, and straightforward controls. Some trims included an AM radio, but air conditioning was not available. Typical of economy cars of the era, this design philosophy embodied Ford's mindset. The fewer things that can break, the better. And decades later, many Cortina dashboards still work flawlessly, a testament to the durability and logic of keeping things simple. Number 10. Transformed into a legendary touring car. Transformed into a legendary touring race car. Though born as an economy sedan, the Ford Cortina quickly rose to become a legend in touring car racing thanks to its high-performance variant, the Lotus Cortina. This was the result of a collaboration between Ford and the sports car wizards at Lotus, and one of the most dramatic performance transformations in automotive history. Under Colin Chapman's direction, Lotus swapped the 122L engine for a potent 1.6L twin-cam that produced around 105 horsepower, nearly double the base model's output. The rear suspension was upgraded to coil springs. The chassis was reinforced, and the car weighed only about 2,000 kg. It looked like a Cortina, but it drove like a purpose-built race machine. The Lotus Cortina went on to dominate British and European circuits. Racing legend Jim Clark famously drove it to multiple victories in the British Saloon Car Championship. The unexpected success of the race variant elevated the entire Cortina lineup. The Ford Cortina wasn't the most powerful or the most luxurious car, but through clever design, lightweight build, hybrid suspension, easy-to-fix engine, and minimalist dash, it became a true post-war economy icon. Most importantly, it proved that a small, humble car, when done right, could make a big mark in automotive history. From family car to race champion, the Cortina showed that less is more can still win hearts and trophies. If you love cars that seem ordinary but carry brilliant design philosophy like the Cortina, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow car enthusiasts. And how about you? Do you have any memories of the Cortina? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your